and Lowry concept. Lowry was concept. So the Bronsted-Lowry concept of an acid. Before I will explain this Bronsted-Lowry concept of an acid, let me just introduce something to you on hydrogen. Good. We all know that what hydrogen atom, this is it. In this hydrogen atom, the number of proton, call it NP, is what? Is 1. The number of electron here, Ne, is also what? 1. The number of neutron here, number of neutron, I call it what? N capital N, is equal to the word 0. In normal hydrogen have 1 proton, 1 what? Electron. So if you draw the what? The shell of hydrogen, inner here, cell of hydrogen, and inner here we have what? 1 what? Proton. And this is what? Shell. In the shell we have 1 electron. This is hydrogen. 1 proton, 1 what? Electron. Abi? Good. But look at hydrogen here. That have 1 this. When it is ionized like this, it will release 1 electron out. Abi? It will become what? H plus. So inside this H plus of hydrogen, see, I said a normal hydrogen atom contains 1 electron and a 1 proton. Abi? Yes. But this one that is become what? Ion now. Inside this what? Ion, the electron is what? 0. And the proton is what? Is 1. And neutron is also what? 0. You can see that what? This hydrogen ion contains just 1 proton alone, no electron, no neutron. Abi? So this one, the one I draw here, is for hydrogen what? Atom. But if this electron is what is being removed, you are left with what? 1 proton. This is what? H plus. This is structure of hydrogen atom. 1 proton, 1 electron. When it lose this electron out, it will become this. Abi? This is shell. It will become what? This. Therefore, we use what? This hydrogen ion to represent proton. Because H plus has no electron, it has no neutron. What is up inside is what? Is 1 proton. So in chemistry now, we will now assume that what? H plus now it represents what? Proton. If you agree with this, let me now go to what? Bronsted-Lowry concept of what? Of acid. So this Bronsted divine acid, Bronsted concept, divine what? Acid, and acid as a proton donor. Bronsted divine acid as a what? A proton what? Donor. Why? Sorry, a proton, open bracket, H plus. So why? Base is a proton acceptor. See, the Bronsted-Lowry concept of an acid defines acid as a proton donor, while base is a what? A proton acceptor. He said any compound that have ability to denote proton is called acid. But any compound that have ability to what? To accept proton is called base. So let me clean this place and write the example. Look at it now. That example. Yes. We have if we have yes, look at this reaction. HCl reacts with NH3. React with what? NH what? 3. And give us what? NH4 ion plus Cl minus. Look at this reaction. The HCl we have here, HCl we have here is what? Is an acid. This ammonia is a Bronsted base. Is a base. Acid and base. This HCl will release its own hydrogen air and give it to what? Ammonia. So if ammonia take this hydrogen, it will become this. So here we have this. So this reaction show that what? The ammonia is Lewis base. HCl, ammonia is Bronsted base. HCl is Bronsted acid. The HCl is what? Donate is what? Hydrogen ion here to what? To ammonia to form ammonium plus what? Plus Cl minus. Yes. So, and again, let I forget here. This one that we have here, ammonia, we call it what? Conjugate acid. Conjugate what? Acid. And this one, we call it what? Con what? Conjugate base. But we are coming back for the conjugate acid and the conjugate what? Base. But let me show you the what? The main mechanism of this what? Reaction. Like this now. I want to show you how this man releases for ammonium here. We have H, C here. We have done bond. This covalent bond. We add with what? Ammonia, which is what? NH, this, with one lone pair here. So this acid now donates what? It will what? Transfer this lone what? This proton to ammonia. So when it transfer the proton to ammonia, you now have what? Ammonia will become what? NH, H, H, H plus Cl minus. So the complex ion that is formed here is the one I said we call it what? Call it conjugate what? Call it conjugate what? Acid. Where this one, we call it what? Conjugate base. And this one is what? Is Bronsted base. This one is what we call what? Bronsted acid. This is how the proton is moving from the what? Cl to this. And let me give you another one example on this. Look at what HNO3 reacts with H2O. HNO3 reacts with what? With H2O. We have what? H3O plus plus NO3 minus. You can now observe that what? This HNO3 release hydrogen, which is proton to the water. So this water here that is absorbed or accept the proton from NO3, it will become what? Bronsted what? Base. And this one, hydrogen that is formed when proton is being added to him, it will become conjugate acid. And this, it will become what? Conjugate base. So these are the what? The two. In fact, we have like what as possible example for what? The conjugate what? For the Bronsted example, acid is a proton donor. HCl here donates what? Proton to ammonia. So ammonia here is a base. You can now see that what? This Bronsted-Lowry concept of an acid is not dependent on what? On water. It's the one that tells us that what? Ammonia is a what? Is a base by accepting proton from what? From hydrogen. And and water here is also what? A base. Because it accepts what? Proton from where? From it accepts what? Proton from what? From acid. Let me give you one more example. Again, yes, let me look at this example of, let me take this example again. If you have what? H2O here, water, react with what? NH3, ammonia, and to give us what? NH4 plus plus OH minus plus what? O what? H minus. Look at this reaction. What do we have here? This water here is the one that is what? Release. Or make I show the, or let me show you the what? The mechanism of the reaction. Let me show you how this happens. This water here. The water here is what? Is an acid here. And this is what? Base. And this is what? Conjugate. Conjugate base. And this is what we call what? Call what? Conjugate acid. Sorry. Conjugate acid and conjugate what? Base. And again, let me show you how this man is what? Is an acid. Because acid is a substance that produces what? Proton. So this water, this is the structure of water. We have done it in a chemical bonding, it has what? Lone pair. Lone pair. If it now react with what? Ammonia, with lone pair. So what should now happen here now? This proton, hydrogen here, this one, it will now move from here to what? To this side. So this water produce hydrogen ion, which is proton, to ammonia. So a substance that is what? Produce what? Proton. What do we call it? We call it what? Bronsted acid. A substance that is accept proton, what do we call it? We call it what? Bronsted base. So at the end of the day, we have what? This NH, H, 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 plus, plus OH what? Minus. So we can now see that what? The water here is a proton donor where ammonia is a what? Is a proton acceptor. These two reactions here, you can see that what? Water behave as what? A base here, but here it behave as what? An acid. Therefore, this reaction tell us that what? Water. Therefore, this reaction tell us that what? Water is an um, amphiprotic substance. Notice, if it is base, we call them what? Amphoteric base. But we call it what? Amphiprotic what? Substance. That is a what? A substance that behave like what? Bronsted acid, and also behave like what? A bronsted base. So water here is behave like what? Bronsted base. It's also behave like what? Bronsted acid here. So any substance that is all ability to what? To behave like a what? Bronsted acid and a bronsted base are called what? Amphiprotic what? Substance. So the next thing is what? Let us look at what? The conjugate pair of what? Of acid. Conjugate pairs of what? Of acid. Let me rub this side. So the next one now is what? Let's look at what? The conjugate what? Conjugate acid base pair. Conjugate acid what? Base what? Pair. In acid base what? Let me write it here. In what? Acid base reaction. In acid base what reaction? The acid release or give out its own proton to a base and form a new substance called conjugate base. Where what? Original base accept proton from original acid and become a conjugate acid. Take for example now, take this for example, or for instance, we have what? We have HA react with what? Original base minus. So when the two react together, this acid will release is what? Is proton to what? To original base. This is what? Acid here This is acid. This is what? Original base. And the acid will now give out its what? Its proton to original base. When it release it, it will have what? Hb. And the acid himself will form minus A. So when acid in acid base reaction, the acid will give out its own proton to base. When they give out its own proton to what? To base, the new substance that is formed, the new what? Substance that is formed when acid is what? Release its own this to this. Acid release H to B. The new substance that is formed from acid is what we call what? Conjugate base. Call what? Conjugate what? Base. Conjugate what? Base. But when the original base accepts proton from acid, the new substance that it form, it's what we call what? We call it conjugate acid. Get what? Acid. So this man is conjugate acid. Where what? This A is called what? Conjugate what? Base. And you will now see that what? This is form. Oh, sorry. This is the base. This is form base here. So this one, we call it what? Conjugate what? Conjugate pair. This one is what? Conjugate what? Conjugate pair. So, what is conjugate acid? Conjugate acid is formed when original base accept proton from what? From acid. What is conjugate base? Conjugate base is formed when original acid release its proton outside. Conjugate acid form when original acid release its own proton to original base. But the conjugate base form when original acid release its proton to the original base. But conjugate acid form when original base accept proton from where? From original acid. That's the conjugate pair. Yeah, I will give you like 5 examples on this. Let us look at it now. If we have a reaction of HCl plus NH3 to give us what? NH3, NH4 plus Cl minus. Look at this reaction now. This acid release H to this. This is what we call what? Look at this side. This is what? Original what? Acid. This one is original what? Base. When acid releases what? Hydrogen to base. It will become what? Conjugate base. So when a base accepts proton from what? From acid, it will become what? Conjugate acid. So this one to become conjugate what? Acid. This base is paired with what? With this. So we call it what? What? Conjugate pair. So this is called what? Conjugate what? Pair. Are we now? Let us look at what another reaction. Again, you may ask, what is the conjugate of HCl? The conjugate pair of HCl is what? Chlorine minus. Now, let us look at another example. In the reaction of, this is the first one. The second example, the action of hydrogen cyanide is an acid and reacts with is what? H2O, and after the reaction, this cyanide gives proton to this. This become what? H3O plus Cn minus. Now, what is what? This cyanide pair with this, and this water, this will be what? Plus. And the water will pair with what? This. This water will what? Will pair with this. So this is what? Called what? Conjugate what? Pair. And conjugate pair. From this reaction now, this is original acid, original base. This one we call it what? Conjugate acid. This is the conjugate base. So what is the conjugate of what? Hydrogen cyanide is Cn minus. The conjugate acid for this base is what? H3 0 plus. So let us look at one example on it. A reaction between CH3 COH plus NH3 to give us what? NH4 plus CH3 COO minus. We can see that what? This is what? Original what? This is original what? Acid. This one is original what? Base. When this acid release this ion to base, so this base will become what? Conjugate what? Acid. This will now become what? A conjugate base. So the conjugate of this acid, it will be what? Conjugate of this acid, it will be what? This conjugate of this base is what? Is this. So this is what we call what? Call what? Conjugate pair. So we have call what? Conjugate pair. So that's how what we determine the conjugate acid and the conjugate what? Base. So the conjugate acid is formed when original acid release is proton out to the original base. Sorry. The conjugate what? Acid is formed when original base accept proton from what? From original acid. So this base is conjugate acid. It's formed when original base accept proton. But conjugate base form when original acid release proton to base. We have a conjugate base. Conjugate acid form when a base accept proton from what? From acid. So that's how we can determine the what? The conjugate acid and the what? And the conjugate base.